Hi everybody, my name's Andrew and today I'm driving a 2024 Toyota Tacoma. This year, the Tacoma received its first major update since 2016. In fact, its only major update since 2016 because headlights, paint colors, and a power driver's seat don't really count. The entire car industry the last few years, as far as I can tell, has loved to harp on about how the Tacoma was ancient, prehistoric, outdated, whatever other synonym you wanted to use. That's what it was. And truth is, 7 to 8 years wasn't really that long of a life cycle for a car, but the old truck wasn't really set up for success. For one, the outgoing Tacoma was not only the only pickup truck, but also one of a very short list of vehicles to still use drum brakes in the rear. Luckily, this new truck has been upgraded to the cutting-edge alternative called discs. Similarly, the new Tacoma now uses coils in its rear suspension instead of leaf springs, though to be fair, there are still plenty of other pickup trucks using the latter. And I should put the disclaimer that that is only if you get the crew cab model for some reason. But either way, this truck is fully new inside and out and underneath, especially under the hood. Personally, I never thought the old Tacoma looked that bad. I thought it was aging fairly well, and I would have taken it all day long over a previous generation Ranger or Colorado. And while this new Tacoma isn't a revolutionary redesign, it should age just as well as the old truck. And a lot of these styling elements are very similar to the new Tundra, but I think fit this truck better. In fact, I think this is probably the best looking pickup truck Toyota's ever made. And unfortunately, speaking of the Tundra, the Genius tailgate release built into the taillight is not found on this truck. Maybe available on higher trims, but this is a mid-level TRD off-road. That said, because it's a TRD off-road, it does come standard with Bilstein external reservoir dampers and 33-inch BF Goodrich all-terrain tires. On the inside, the Tacoma does remain a little bit light on technology, at least on this trim level, just judging by the amount of blank buttons that you'll find in here. Overall, though, I'm a big fan of this new redesign. Once again, like the exterior, it's very similar to the new Tundra and other new Toyota trucks. In fact, the shifter is essentially the same, and the dashboard styling elements are very similar as well. And you have the same steering wheel. And the features it does have are kind of a mixed bag. As you can see, Toyota's full ADAS safety suite is on board, as in every other new Toyota nowadays. There's a digital gauge cluster back here, and despite the screen being on the smaller side, wireless Apple CarPlay. But on the other hand, there's no dual zone climate control. The manually adjustable cloth seats are not heated, and there's no power sliding rear window. Not to worry though, because those features and more are available in either the $4,800 TRD off-road upgrade package or the $9,000 TRD off-road premium package, both of which are a bit steep, I think, for a truck that already costs nearly $45,000. I do just want to quickly say, though, that the manually adjustable seats I just mentioned do have power lumbar for some reason. So it's okay, that makes up for everything. No, it doesn't. The other big way that the Tacoma has been modernized, for better or worse, is the retirement of the old naturally aspirated V6 engine. The tried and true 3.5 liter V6 that Toyota's been using for literally decades. So whether that's a good thing or not, I will leave that up to you to decide. But in its place now is a turbocharged 2.4 liter 4-cylinder, which is available as a hybrid on the higher trims, but this particular one is just straight gas. This iForce 4-cylinder, as they're calling it, the hybrid, much like the Tundra, is the iForce Max, is honestly not particularly refined and doesn't sound very good, but it does produce plenty of power, for whatever that's worth. In every trim except the base SR, it makes 278 horsepower and 317 foot-pounds of torque. So those are pretty respectable numbers. And with the hybrid system, that actually gets up to almost 500 foot-pounds of torque. It's like 485 or something like that. And I can't remember the horsepower figure for the hybrid off the top of my head, but I'll put it on screen. At about 7 seconds, this truck is nearly half a second quicker 0 to 60 than the old V6 Tacoma. However, reliability and longevity of this 4-cylinder does still remain to be seen, and only time will tell. Additionally, EPA fuel economy of this truck is kind of disappointing, honestly, because across the board, the improvement of this 4-cylinder versus the V6 is 1. That's right, 1 mpg. At risk of sounding like a boomer, I thought that, you know, these new turbocharged, smaller displacement engines were supposed to be more powerful and more efficient, but apparently that's not necessarily the case here. On the road, though, this new Tacoma is light years ahead of the old truck. It rides noticeably better, and while I wouldn't call it snappy, the new 8-speed automatic is far, far smoother than the old 6-speed that you used to have with the V6. I will say also, too, that the driving position is vastly improved. The old Tacoma had this weird thing where you were sitting really low to the floor, but you also had no headroom, and to get your arms comfortable, at least for a taller driver, you had to be way too close to the dash because the steering wheel wouldn't come out, but then your legs were all cramped because, again, the seat was way too close to the floor. I don't know what they did, but they fixed it. So the driving position in here feels normal now. Unfortunately, the back seat, though, is still fairly tight. Ultimately, this 4th-gen Taco is a huge step up from its predecessor, and frankly, just a great truck overall. But Toyota is definitely making you pay the price for it, because this four-wheel drive crew cab TRD off-road had a $44,000 MSRP before any options. And as we discussed, this truck is a little bit light on features. That's about $6,000 more than this truck would have been in 2022 or 2023. And you know, something weird is happening, because this truck with 12,000 miles on it is already available secondhand for 38 to 39 grand. In fact, there's a silver one in the next row over with about the same mileage for exactly the same price. So it's not just this one. And there's a blue TRD Sport over there with 14,000 miles for 35 grand. So, you know, you used to be able to buy a Tacoma, put 12,000 miles on it in a year, and then sell it and lose like a grand, you know, or two, if that, not 6 or 7. But it's almost like the market is determining what this truck should have cost in the first place. It's a weird one, that one. Either way, if you pick up one of these trucks secondhand, I think you're going to be incredibly happy with it. And as always, I want to extend a huge thank you here to Echo Park Raleigh for allowing me access not only to this Tacoma, but their entire selection of competitively priced, high-quality pre-owned vehicles. And if this truck is still available, or one of the other ones that they have, you'll find it linked down below. As always, thanks for tuning in. If you found this video enjoyable or informative in some way, give it a thumbs up, or consider subscribing for plenty more content to come.